Hello everyone, welcome to another rambling video about a totally random subject. And this week is going to be awareness and more specifically self-awareness. So before I go on with these topics, I gotta say I'm not an expert on this. I don't pretend to be. This is just thoughts, so if I say anything wrong, it is what it is. So what is awareness? I think it's pretty self explanatory. It's what you are aware of, what you know to be real. For example, if there was, for example, an elephant on the other side of the camera, the viewers wouldn't be aware of it, so they wouldn't know that there is an elephant. Obviously, there's not, but there's a pretty blatant example. Sometimes there can be things that are very big, very noticeable, but if we are not aware of them, they aren't real to us. We don't know of them. They don't play any part on our life. And that's the notion of our reality being limited by what we are aware of, at least in our perception, obviously, is very interesting because then it comes the self-awareness. And if we if our awareness, if our understanding of reality is limited by our awareness, how are we sure we know who we are? How self-aware can we be? I think we would all agree that each person has a different uh, level of self-awareness. uh, some show a lot of self-awareness, some don't show much self-awareness. So how much do these people know who they truly are? And is that even a good thing? Something I noticed when searching about awareness and self-awareness was that there were tips and videos and essays about both sides of the situation. As in, there were videos showing how to be more self-aware and showing it as something positive, and there were videos about being less self-aware and how to decrease our self-consciousness. Now obviously we could say the cliche and say that everything is good in moderation. There is such thing as too much of something, just like there is such thing as too little of something. But I think with awareness is a bit of a unique subject because we don't we don't find, for example, the essays or videos or content on how to be less healthy, how to be less attractive, how to be less wealthy, how to be uh, not as smart, and have those being seen as positive. So why is it that being self-aware is both good and bad? One thing that I notice a lot about awareness is in work or school. For example, how do I say it? So let's say I wasn't very good at maths at high school, and I was pretty aware of it. I didn't study much, and I didn't enjoy the subject for the most part. So I was pretty aware of where my incompetency, my lack of uh, good grades, you could say, was coming from. Lack of effort, that was the main driving force for my poor grades on maths at high school. But then you see maybe other students, or then later on in work, where they perform below expectations or below average, yet they don't seem aware. Some aren't aware of why, and that's more common in school because we get graded like every 2 months, or basically every test we do is a grade, and it's a very direct feedback on how we are doing. At work, maybe it's not so clear. So we see people who don't seem aware of their lack of performance. Maybe it's just me being naive, I don't know, but I feel like in some cases people definitely don't uh, know that they're performing poorly or that there's something lacking in them. Uh, and in that sense, it's, sounds bad. It's, you could say, a bad trait. You're not, I guess, fully in control of who you are and who you can be because you can't set a standard on how you should act or behave or perform. But then there's seemingly the other side, which is being too self-aware. And I feel like the consequences of being too self-aware is mainly being a lack of being natural, and maybe it can also complicate our uh, decisions and how we act. Because just because we are aware of something doesn't mean that we can perform it. I might know how to, uh, let's say, squat. So let's talk about the gym. I know how to squat, but I can't squat 100 kilos on my back. So uh, being self-aware on how we should behave and how we should uh, find a way around our tendencies to reach whatever goal we have sometimes can make us even block more, even behave less naturally, and fall deeper into bad habits because we know what not to do. And our brain tends to delete the no in the sentences. So I know not to do this, I know not to do that. And then when I'm left out of options, I end up doing what I should not do because that's what I am aware of. That's what my reality is limited to. So that's, I think, the interesting part of this subject, which is how do we conciliate uh, having enough awareness to where it's not detrimental to our behavior, and what is bad. If we're going to suffer from one or the other, which one is better? To be a bit more carefree, to be a bit more natural, but to also lose a bit of awareness on who we are, or to be overly aware and maybe not be able to be at peace with who we are, or sometimes being less natural. I think I would rather, if I could choose, maybe I'm a bit biased because I think I am more of the self-aware type rather than the not aware type. But I think if I were to choose one, I would stay as I am because I think there's some good things with self-awareness, which is, I think, empathy. I think that being self-aware sometimes is like seeing ourselves on a third person, and we are very empathetic when we are on the first person. We are easy to come up with excuses why we fail, why we don't do, why we shouldn't do something, while we justify our shortcomings. I think when we are self-aware, we are a bit more objective with how we are. But obviously, as someone once told me, everything is a trade-off. So maybe not being as self-aware, maybe that's better. I'm not sure. I don't have the answers to these questions.